Hi, everyone. My name is Cecilia Reichelt, and today I'm talking about Taylor Swift, feminism, and the patriarchy as a cultural reckoning. In today's cultural landscape, few individuals stir up as much social discourse as Taylor Swift. Both respected and ridiculed by millions, Swift is central to arguments surrounding power and feminism in American music. Her music, public persona, and fan base have become hotspots for conversations about traditional gender roles and systemic misogyny. This project explores how Swift's career reflects and challenges patriarchal values throughout American history in regard to gender and generational discrepancies. In other words, how does Swift challenge or reinforce gender stereotypes, and what are the feminist implications of Swift's career as a whole? Taylor Swift can and should be viewed as a feminist, but not without complexity and nuance. Swift is a product of patriarchal structures, yet she actively challenges them through her lyrics, public statements, and her reclamation of womanhood, power, and creative agency. In analyzing the gendered and generational reception of her work, we can understand how Swift both challenges and reinforces the norms that she critiques. This project asks if Swift is a feminist figure, but also examines what kind of feminist she is. In order to understand Taylor Swift's feminist relevance, first we must understand the evolution of feminism in American history. The first wave of feminism, the late 19th and early 20th centuries, focused on suffrage and legal rights. The second wave, which occurred in the 1960s to 1980s, expanded feminism to include issues like reproductive rights, workplace inequality, and sexual freedom. The third wave, beginning in the 1990s, emphasized intersectionality, questioning the fixed and stagnant definitions of womanhood through the amplification of marginalized voices. And the fourth wave feminism movement is focused on #MeToo, body autonomy, and LGBTQIA+ inclusion. Swift's rise to fame coincides with the emergence of fourth wave feminism. She represents an overall wider representation of what it means to be a woman. A large portion of Swift's music is about her past or present relationships, and she receives extensive criticisms for the topics she chooses to express and write about. However, many of Swift's male counterparts also write about their relationships, but don't receive the same public judgment regarding their personal lives. The scrutiny which Swift faces is nothing new. Joni Mitchell had a large impact on Taylor Swift's musical and lyrical style. Not only did Mitchell impact Swift sonically and lyrically, but they have both experienced similar criticisms for their emotionally candid music. Because popular music is and always has been controlled by men, Mitchell received criticism for her writing about men and her openness about her sexual experiences. Despite Mitchell's transcendent and groundbreaking musical abilities, she was always viewed through the male lens and placed into a patriarchal cage, thus causing her to experience intense disapproval about the way she chose to navigate her romantic life. Swift also experienced this. She is not the first, and she will most certainly not be the last. However, it is important to analyze why these double standards exist and why so many men dislike Taylor Swift, in order to understand how the musical world can separate itself from the misogynistic system. Each wave of feminism has attempted to challenge the systems that make this perception of female artists possible. Swift enters a time when she is fully aware of these reductions. She represents a continuation of them along with a shift in the feminist struggle. Taylor Swift's music provides a strong discography for how a woman can document, resist, and reckon with the expectations placed upon her. Early in Swift's career, she occupied the role of the pure and ideal American sweetheart. Songs like You Belong With Me, Love Story, and 15 reinforced traditional femininity with their romance-centered narratives, heterosexual desires, and submissive purity. However, her later works began to challenge the earlier themes and the cultural expectations that came along with them. In The Man, 2019, Swift poses a powerful question: what would people say if I was a man? A feminist analysis of The Man highlights how Swift uses satire and role reversal to expose the double standards in fame, ambition, and romantic autonomy. Men, Swift argues, are applauded for the traits that women are punished for. Similarly, in Mad Woman, Swift reflects on the ways in which female anger is pathologized. The lyric, "No one likes a mad woman, you made her like that," calls out the historical tendency to dismiss women as irrational or crazy when they resist control. This song draws on centuries of discourse and relates specifically to The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. In The Yellow Wallpaper, a woman who is experiencing postpartum depression goes mad because her husband isolates her from the rest of the world. Both Perkins, Gilman, and Swift are able to highlight how easily women's voices can be silenced. The shift from songs like Love Story and You Belong With Me to songs like The Man and Mad Woman reflect Swift's personal evolution. Swift's public persona has been crafted, dismantled, and rebuilt in response to the constraints of a male-dominated industry. Swift's reception is deeply gendered and generational. Her fan base primarily consists of young women and is often dismissed or mocked. A study on fandom culture reveals how fan enthusiasm is devalued as it is associated with femininity. When teenage girls scream at a concert, it's perceived as silly. When men yell at a football game, it's considered passion. This gendered bias not only impacts Swift, but also shapes broader societal values. Many male critics reduce Swift's entire discography to her dating life. This is rarely done to other male artists, including Ed Sheeran and Bruno Mars, who also write songs about their dating life. The misogynistic undertones of criticisms on Swift are rarely acknowledged. Instead, men resort to mockery, calling her overly emotional, boy crazy, or worse, including slurs meant to discredit her music and authority. This reception also varies across generations. Younger audiences, particularly millennials and Gen Z, tend to view Swift as an empowering figure. She's vocal about politics, LGBTQIA+ rights, and artistic autonomy. Older generations, still influenced by traditional gender roles, often view Swift as too outspoken or self-involved. This divide underscores the shift in cultural views. Swift has become a battleground for feminist discourse because she refuses to conform to outdated ideas of what it is to be a woman in the public eye. So, can we view Swift as a feminist? The question isn't just whether Swift calls herself a feminist, but also whether her actions, lyrics, and cultural impact support feminist ideals. The answer is yes, but not without complexity. Swift's feminism is not radical. It is not grounded in intersectionality, and she has faced valid criticism for her lack of racial inclusivity. Her feminism is also often aligned with brand-friendly, digestible, and easily marketable feminism. However, it is unfair to dismiss her as merely performative. This ignores the ways in which her work empowers young women and challenges the patriarchy. Swift uses her platform to highlight double standards, reclaim narratives, and create a space where female rage and romantic complexity are celebrated. Her success alone can be viewed as a kind of feminist resistance. Swift isn't necessarily a perfect feminist icon, but she is effective. Her feminism is accessible, artistic, crucial, and evolving. Diversity is one of the most important yet weakest areas in Swift's feminism. As a white, wealthy, conventionally attractive, cisgender woman, Swift benefits from a level of privilege that many other women do not. She doesn't face the same barriers as a Black or trans woman, and she has not used her platform to amplify those marginalized voices. For the majority of her early career, Swift remained apolitical and avoided social justice issues even as they became increasingly prevalent. However, in recent years, Swift has made a concerted effort to be more inclusive. Her song, "You Need to Calm Down," was a mainstream attempt at LGBTQIA+ solidarity. It received both praise and critique for its simple portrayal of queer struggles. Still, the shift presented a change in Swift's activism and vocalness of modern-day issues. Understanding the limits of Swift's feminism is essential to fully engaging with her impact. She has created a gateway feminism, which introduces mainstream audiences to feminist ideas, even if it stops short of deeper systemic critiques. In conclusion, Taylor Swift exists at the intersection of art, activism, and femininity. Her career reveals how far feminism has come and also how far it has to go. She is a product of patriarchal systems and also a challenger of these same systems. Swift is a feminist, not a perfect one, but a powerful one. Her work resonates across gender and generational divides because she offers hope and possibility. Her music opens up space for emotional truth, female rage, romantic agency, and cultural critiques. So Swift challenges the patriarchy through her evolving music, public persona, and feminist messaging. Thank you.